Good morning everyone and welcome back. It's so good to see you again. Over the next few weeks in our visual arts classes together, we're going to be making collage gardens to represent the seasons. What's your favourite season? Have a think. Now whisper to the person next to you and tell them what it is. Brilliant. Today we're going to start with our summer collage garden and we're going to paint our background using cool colours like blue and green and even some purple. So I'm going to use a big thick brush because I've got a big area to paint. So I'm going to start with some blue paint and I'm going to do nice long big straight horizontal strokes like that. Do you see how this paint's already wet, ready to use? I'm going to put some little bit of purple on. Because these are watercolours, I need to add a little bit of water onto that. I'm just going to put a tiny little bit of purple onto there as well. Down here I'm going to use a little bit of green paint. Instead of doing straight lines, I'm going to do curly whirly circles. A bit more green. Add a little bit of blue to it and watch what happens to the colour of the green. It goes into a much darker green so I can mix and blend my colours together to make different shades. Now that we've finished painting our background, it's time to put some things into our garden. I'm thinking of something that's very tall that's going to give us some shade from the hot summer sun. A tree. So to make our tree, I'm going to use some things I found in my garden. Some wood and some paper bark. So with the wood, we're going to use a technique called printing. So I'm going to put lots of brown paint onto my timber, like that. Then I'm going to press it down onto the paper and the paper that's going to make the shape and the pattern that's on my timber. For my other tree, I'm going to use the paper bark. So first we're going to use some very special PVA glue. It's magic glue because it sticks very, very well. I'm going to paint some PVA onto there and I'm going to take my bark, I might tear a bit, and I'm going to press it down onto my paper. Now that we've finished the trunks of our trees, it's time to add the leaves so that we have a beautiful canopy to create shade from the sun. So to do that, I'm going to use my cool colours again, and I'm using oil pastels, and I'm going to make a pattern on my sheet here. So I'm going to do a crisscross pattern first. I'm going to push heavy and make a thick dark line, and then a thin light line, and then a thick dark line, and then a thin light line. And I'm doing that by pushing hard to make the line thick and then gently to make it a thin line all the way down my page like that. I'm going to use blue and do some big swirly whirly circles. So 1, 2, 3, and let's put one more circle in, I think. 4. Now I'm going to go and get some of my purple, and this time instead of doing the straight lines, I'm going to do a squiggly line that goes all the way down my page, curving all the way to the bottom of our page. So wetting my brush again, I'm going to use some purple watercolour and I'm going to go over the top of the pattern that I've made. Have a look at what happens. And there we are. Once our pattern sheet is dry, it's time to turn it over and we're going to draw leaf shapes on the back. Now remember, if you look out in your garden, leaves come in all different shapes and sizes. So use your imagination and draw whatever you like. Once you've drawn them, it'll be time to cut them out. I'm just cutting my last one. Just remember, when you're using scissors, always point them downwards, don't point them at anyone. And do you notice when I'm cutting, I'm moving my paper, and that makes it nice and easy for me to cut out my leaves. Great. Once all our leaves are cut out, we're going to get some PVA glue because it's nice and strong. Pop it onto the back of our leaf, and then we can pop our leaves straight on to our beautiful trees. Now that we've got our beautiful lush leaves on our tree, it's time to put our hot, hot summer sun up into the sky. Now to make the sun, I'm going to use warm colours. I'm going to use orange and red and yellow, and I'm using chalk pastels this time. So to make my sun, I'm going to use circle shapes, and I'm going to do a red, an orange and a yellow circle onto my paper. Now that I've drawn my circles and coloured them in, I'm going to put some rays, some sun rays onto my sun. So I'm going to do some short lines, and I'm going to do some squiggly overlapping lines onto my sun, and I might even just do some little dots coming out in my lines, and I'm going to do that all the way around my sun. So now my sun's finished, except for one more technique I want to show you. Because the chalk pastels are a little bit grainy, you can see it comes off onto my fingers, we're going to smudge it. And what smudging done, it helps us to blend the colours together, and it changes the tone. So where my red was really red there, where I've mixed it with the orange, it's changed colour. And when I mix my orange into my yellow, it makes a lighter orange colour. I'm going to mix my rays in as well. It just softens them up, and it helps to also spread out my colours to fill in those little white spaces that I had. Once it's done, I'm going to cut it out and pop it onto our summer garden. And there's my completed summer garden. From my hot, hot summer sun, where we used chalk pastels and we did smudging to blend some colours, to our pattern leaves, where we painted over them with watercolour and then cut them out. And our trees, where we did some printing using some wood I found outside, and my paper bark that I found outside. And of course our background, we used watercolours, different colours that we blended together to create different shades. So have so much fun and enjoy making yours this afternoon.